Advisory Committee meeting. This is February 12th, 2025 at approximately 2 p.m. And do the roll call.
Mr. Thomas Bradford.
Here.
Russ Redmond. Brad Freese.
Here.
Clay Damon. Jill Wenta.
Here.
Marie Scharouse.
Here.
Wade Chance.
Here.
Okay. Does anyone need to make any changes to the agenda?
Sorry, she said Maurice.
I saw it. Did she say Marie?
Wow, I am so sorry. We can go back and do it again.
No.
Michelle Scharouse.
I didn't hear
Here.
that. Did not hear that.
Who's Marie?
We're good. Everybody's here now.
Okay. Even Maurice?
Even Maurice.
So does anyone have any additions, deletions, or modifications to this agenda
No,
as written?
Therefore, I make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Motion carries, or sorry, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? 0. Motion carries. Communications from citizens? Like- Okay. All right, so presentations, Meg.
Did you approve the minutes?
Did I?
I thought that's in the.
Oh, presentations are first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're out of order. So Meg will be presenting on green incentives. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to present to you the second part of our green building certification presentation. In this one, we are going to talk about local municipalities and the codes that they have in place to encourage green building. All right, so as we spoke about previously, we are looking at the 4 types of certification systems. This is not a conclusive list, but these are the ones that are very popular. We have LEED, which is comprehensive and globally recognized. FGBC, which is regionally focused on Florida's specific needs. NGBS, geared toward residential buildings. And Energy Star, which focuses on energy efficiency. So the first city that we will look at is Delray Beach. New construction or additions consisting of 15,000 square feet require minimum green building certification. They do have multiple options. This could be FGBC, NGBS, or LEED. New buildings or additions consisting of more than 50,000 square feet shall achieve LEED, Silver, or equivalent. At the time of the building permit, the applicant must provide signed and sealed affidavit, checklists, and proof of registration with green building entity. Prior to CO, certificate is to be provided. Delray Beach also asks for a bond or letter of credit for private developers, the sliding bond of 3 to 6% depending on the square footage. And if certification is not completed, it will be forfeited and invested into sustainability. The Village of Wellington is currently going through a zoning text amendment to mimic the Delray ordinance. The City of Stuart. So green development standards to credit green building elements for new renovation projects. LEED points are used to qualify these projects. The incentives are not specified. Expedited review process is guaranteed only after a green review pre-app meeting and written confirmation that the project does in fact qualify. Applicants receive an anticipated expedited review timeline, and additional incentives are not specified but are subject to the approval of the development director. So here we have some municipalities locally that do not have any green building codes. And here we have some Florida municipalities that do have green building incentives. So the next 2 slides, these are very soft numbers. It's just to kind of give you an estimate on what the price estimates would look like and what savings would look like. So for LEED certification, that's going to be the most expensive. It's $15 to $40. FGBC and NGBS are both in the middle there. Energy Star is the most cost effective. When it comes to savings, total annual savings, LEED is the highest. FGBC and NGBS are about the same. However, FGBC does come in a little bit higher, and Energy Star is the least amount of savings. Now we're going to look at a 6,000 square foot commercial space. Again, these are just very soft numbers to give you an idea. Certification prices, LEED is the most expensive, FGBC and NGBS are in the middle there, and then Energy Star is the most cost effective. When we look at savings, this one is a little bit different. LEED, you have a total annual savings of $14,000 to $41,000, which is obviously very big. That's over the life of the project. FGBC, NGBS, those are the same, and Energy Star is also, oh gosh, did I say it wrong, guys? I am so sorry. When we're talking about certified price estimates, FGBC, NGBC, and Energy Star on the commercial are all in the same wheelhouse. I probably misspoke there, did I? Well, again, here are the total annual savings. LEED is the highest, FGBC and NGBS are in the middle, and Energy Star is kind of catching up, but still, again, the lowest. Here we have some municipalities incentivizing green building. Everybody uses expediting permitting. Areas with higher density use the density bonuses, and about half, if not more, use reduced fees. Green incentives in DeQuesta. Jay, do you want to
Yeah, I was just
this a
gonna
bit?
jump in on this one. So we talked to our building department, our building official, Wayne Cameron, after a lengthy discussion about, the value of having this. We were able to kind of talk him into agreeing to waive up to 10% of building permit fees, which is pretty good, right? A lot of building officials, they're very, they like to protect their money. They like to keep coming in. So it was very good that we got him to agree to that. So he has agreed to waive up to 10% of the fees. So, right. So if someone came in for a new single family home and it was a $15,000 fee, they'd save $1,500. It's not going to offset the total cost as you saw, but it might soften the blow a little bit. We've also gotten the building department to agree to do expedited plan review and to do priority inspections. It's probably not as big of a deal to offer that as it would be in like Chicago or New York, where it may take you a year to get through the plan review process, and where there may be 5,000 inspections going on a day. We're usually pretty quick here, but we can definitely expedite it and give people priority review, priority inspections. So that's just another little carrot that we could throw into it. And then in looking at how we would offer the 10% building permit fee reduction, and looking at the different certifications and the cost and what you'd have to actually provide, we didn't think it'd be fair to give a 10%, the same reduction someone would get for an Energy Star as they would for LEED Platinum. So then, if you look, there's kind of 4 tiers of certifications, which is really based on kind of the LEED structure, which is just LEED certified would be tier 1. LEED Silver is tier 2, LEED Gold is tier 3, and LEED Platinum is tier 4. So 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, and then FGBC and NGBS. The kind of lower tier there is probably not even worth giving incentives to. It's really pretty small. So then we would kind of slide it up so that their tier 2 would be the same as LEED's tier 2 and get slightly less. And then Energy Star, there's only one certification type, and that's probably the equivalent of somewhere between tier 2 and tier 3. So, we recommend the 5%. So that's kind of staff's recommendation. And that's all we've got. I'm going to be taking kind of we call it a glitch list, where we update a lot of different things in our zoning code at the same time. So one of the things I was going to do is update the prohibited species list that we did, I think, last month. So I can do this and that at the same time and just kind of roll it into a code update and get this done pretty quickly. So if the EAC is open to it, we'd like to take some language like this to council for adoption into the code. But if you have any other suggestions or ideas, we're open to listening. That's it.
So when you say this language, you're talking similar to what Delray Beach had as an ordinance?
No, so Delray Beach is mandatory green building. So
Okay.
if you're doing a certain size project, I think it was 15,000 square feet, you have to do the lower tiered ones, and if you're over 50,000, you have to do like the higher tiered.
Yeah.
So that's mandatory. So, you know, right now we've got like the Bank of America, old Bank of America is getting reconverted to a Chipotle. You know, we'd say, well, you're going to have to make this LEED certified, which it's a big leap.
Mhm.
So we'll certainly call the council's attention to that, but I think it's a big leap to make it mandatory. But
So-
if,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, but if the EAC wants us to, we can suggest it to them. But
No, I
it's
was
a
just
big-
wanted
it's
that
a
for
big leap.
clarification.
Yeah.
So basically, you're just incentivizing through this.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, incentivizing, not mandating. So you get the reduction of your permit fee, and then you'd get expedited plan review and inspections, and while we're doing that, we'll create like a green building thing on our building department and planning department's website and share links and, you know, encourage people. We'll do some stuff in social media to encourage people to do green building, but nothing mandatory as of yet.
So these incentives that we're seeing on the screen right now, and the tiers and the certification firms, that would apply to all forms of construction, except for like public works type stuff, right? I mean, it'd be,
Yeah,
so commercial, residential, mixed use, et cetera,
everything.
And then Energy Star, so I take it it's morphed into something more than appliances and fixtures. And I'm not familiar with how what they've morphed into. Apparently it's similar, but otherwise you wouldn't have had that on the list.
Were you here for Meg's other presentation?
The first one?
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, she went over it. Let's see.
So yes, Energy Star has kind of evolved from your fixtures and your appliances to overall home certification and commercial, and I think they even do like community and municipality. But it's really much like the other ones where you apply, you meet their criteria, and then they come back and say, hey, great job. Energy Star is unique in the fact that it's either you get the certification or you don't get the certification, so there's no tiers on that one. And then additionally, they are solely focused on energy efficiency. They're not looking at Florida, they're not looking at residential, it's just about saving energy.
Is it still a program of EPA?
I will verify that for you.
Because,
I don't want to speak.
I don't even want to say it.
I'm gonna have to say it later, but, so you can go ahead and
Okay.
say it.
I should go ahead and say it?
You can say it. I'm gonna have to say it during the grant.
Well, the
that's
current
coming up.
administration in Washington may say that's not all gonna be allowed anymore, but, or funded, who knows? But you can still have it on our code, and if it ever comes back
Yep.
in 4 years from now, well, then it'll be in the code.
Any other questions?
Just a general thinking out loud, as a developer, builder comes in and they're looking at if they wanted to do the max, the lead tier for 10 grand, and they get 1,500 off or whatever as an incentive from the village, an expedited process. Do we feel like that's enough to encourage them to actually?
So it's 10%, and on a commercial project, it could probably pencil out, right? So if it, or like on the high rises that were just approved, you know, a couple years ago on Beach Road, where you're talking a 40,000 or 50, I mean, 40 million or $50 million valuation, that permit fee would be, that 10% would be pretty substantial.
Okay.
On a single family home, it's gonna be tough, but you know, on a $3 million house,
Just typical now.
which is not uncommon these days. I wish I had thought about running these numbers beforehand, but it's 2% of the permit fee. So what's three? Could be $60,000 just for a single family home. So 10% of that would be 3,000 to 6,000. So you're offsetting.
It's a little nice.
Yeah, it's not gonna complete, but then you, as Meg pointed out, you're also getting projected energy savings too, right? So we're giving you a little bit of cash, and then you would also be saving money over 5, 10, 15 years on the actual energy savings.
Right.
So,
And would we assist with helping them promote that they've utilized this and in terms of marketing? With
That's a-
the village support?
that's a good suggestion. I know Meg had some ideas about that, kind of highlighting, when people do get certifications, highlighting it, so.
So that the community's aware of it, and, because otherwise you would never know, and then it's, creates more
I know
interest.
LEED, they do like a plaque on the building. I don't know if you've seen them before. I want to say like the Miami Museum has a nice big one. I personally think if we get somebody in here that's interested, then yeah, of course we would want to share that information with the community.
Like even a celebration of some sort, just to really make it visible, again, for encouragement, or to show
Yeah, I remember we talked about that when we first
as one of the
came
purposes of
upon
doing
this
it.
subject. But, you know, some people might not want it, but
Yeah,
we
I can't
could
imagine
do
it
it.
wouldn't.
We could, you know, take a photograph, or the homeowner and spouse or whatnot, and
Mhm.
say,
And maybe more so towards commercial building, that we could make a lot more visual than a homeowner, because like I said, not all homeowners are going to want to be recognized, but they might.
I'm not sure it's allowed, but when people are gonna call or ask or try to search out the builders that do these certifications, are we allowed to recommend or have a few that are on our village website that, you know, hey, these guys, this is,
We can never, we can never recommend just one.
Right.
I think it generally has to be at least 3.
can you do like 3 or 5
But
people,
we
you know,
can-
builders that offer this?
Be a way to like skillfully kind of put links in for
Mhm.
those green building
Yeah.
certifications, and then when you go there, they
Yeah.
might have like a search your zip
Yeah.
code.
Cause that'd help, you know.
Yeah, there's
Guide people to
there's a
certain-
lot of those sources online, so I
Okay.
can't remember which city it was I looked at, but one of the cities has a lot of different links. And there's a
Okay.
Florida Green Building Coalition that has a lot of links, so we could
So you
also
could put
share
that in
share to
there.
that, and then you find
Yeah,
them.
right.
Make it easy.
You know, to help lead people to
That's
the
the biggest-
builders that are gonna,
That's the
Yeah.
biggest block. I
Use it. Yeah, I
experienced
think
that when
so.
I was building. It's like, I'll have access to who does this.
One of our biggest challenges to this being highly utilized is the fact that we're mostly built out. So in a place like Palm Beach Gardens, where you had Coulter building Alton recently, they did maybe 5 or 10 different prototype of a green building model, and then people could then say, well, I'll take that one.
yeah.
And then if you're building 1,000 houses, you might get 10, 15, 20 of them. Whereas here, you're not having any, there's really no subdivisions. There's maybe one opportunity for a subdivision type project to happen. So we're not gonna get a lot of that. It's gonna be custom homes. And I think a lot of that's just gonna be, it's gonna have to be from it's gonna be an affluent home built buyer that says to their custom home builder and says, hey, I'd like to go
This
lead.
matters to me.
Yeah, this matters to me. I'd like to go lead, and let's find a way to make it happen.
But even, we don't have build-up opportunities new, but we have lots of opportunities for purchase of commercial property, tear down and build that, so we want to be able to have something in place for that.
that's true.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing.
And that's what's happening, yes.
That's definitely most likely to be used is
Yeah.
commercial.
Yeah.
And that's where the incentives, okay.
So so I take it that we don't see much value, or staff does not see much value in offering expedited review.
I don't think it's needed because we're already
You mentioned.
pretty quick, and most people know that. But like I said, we're offering it. You know, it'll be part of the incentive package. But I don't think people are going to be, you know,
Waiting months.
lining up to do it because of that, because they already know we're pretty quick. But like I said, Chicago, I think, is a city that's notorious. They have a green building program, but they're a city that's known to take forever to get permitted and inspections and reviews. And so
Becomes
because of that,
Commodity.
the developers are like, well, we've got to do green building because otherwise we're going to be held up for months, and that's a cost savings you can actually get by not having to
Right.
waste that time.
Well, just so I have it in my head, maybe sea glass might be an example, but what would you estimate that the typical turnaround time for a building like that might be for the permitting process?
So go through our development review committee, which is multiple departments, and we're typically getting comments back to people within a month, whereas Palm Beach County would be 3 months. So we'll get comments back to people generally within a month. They then make some updates, get it back to us, or we have comments back in 3 weeks because it's a less thorough review. Then same thing, and then 2 weeks, and then they're pretty much at Planning and Zoning Board. I mean, for instance, we just had a project that's going to council tomorrow night. It's 358 Cypress. It's an existing building that someone's renovating and remodeling. And I think they submitted it, or we started reviewing it in like August, and it was already at our Planning and Zoning Board in December. So
That's pretty quick.
pretty quick compared to most places.
Wade, anything?
No, nothing.
Can you go back a few slides to where it shows the cost of each? Yeah,
So this is commercial.
yeah, that one, the commercial one's fine. So, so the lead is 50 to 150, including certification fee and construction upgrades. Is that, where'd you get that range? Is that,
Again, these are just really generalized
Okay.
numbers. So if I had a 6,000 square foot commercial space, approximately how much would this cost
okay,
me?
all right, so it's kind of a gauge a little
Yeah.
bit. All right.
And the range is wide because there's, certified all the way up to platinum.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
If there's any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you, Meg.
So what,
Yeah,
so
thanks,
what,
Matt.
what do you guys need from us at this time?
Or blessing.
If you want to just give a blessing to kind of staff's proposed recommendations, that
So,
would be helpful.
yeah, this was one of the things that I was gonna talk about when we talk our strategic goals. So, we can revisit it when we get there.
I would only just add the marketing support piece
Great
I
idea.
agree with that.
And educational.
and
Yes.
educational, and reference to resources.
Yeah, resources.
That's huge. That really is a huge chunk.
Mm-hmm.
That can sway somebody, forget it, or go with it.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Thank
All right, thank you.
All right, next up, consent agenda. Guess, does anyone have a problem with the minutes? Additions, deletions, modifications to the January 8th meeting?
No.
No?
No, no. I'll make a
All
go ahead, Jill.
I move to accept the January 8th agenda as written. Minutes as written.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Old business under our regular agenda. I did have an opportunity to view the January meeting, so there was a lot of, I guess, ideas and input. I just wanted to bring this to kind of finality, since this would be our last meeting prior to the evening presentations in March. It was a while ago since I viewed that, the January meeting, but the time, date, and place is set. It's gonna be March 4th. Time is 6 to 7:30. And it's gonna be at the Tequesta Recreational Center. I'm gonna go back to the title, but content, I am planning on three, well, not planning, we're going to have three presentations. And the order of those presentations, I would like in a logical way, meaning something perhaps from staff, maybe from Marjorie. I know you had mentioned the resiliency study. We can probably come up with that, but something that, you know, this is the living shoreline ordinance, or this is the reason we have a living shoreline ordinance. The next presentation will be from the Reef Arches Maine. They're gonna, I've talked to them, they're probably going to do a joint presentation since, you know, they're not exactly the same, but they provide natural and engineered living shoreline structure. And then the final one is gonna be from Peter DeWitt, reviewing, I guess, what has transpired at Gelona and what is on the horizon for Gelona. And that third presentation is kind of, okay, here is a living shoreline, and here is why we did it. Sort of like, this is the reason Tequesta has it. These are the solutions, if you will, and then number three, this is all of that in action. Each presentation is approximately 15 to 20 minutes. You know, of course, I'll be like the MC, I guess, and I'll introduce the EAC if you guys are available and you show up, and then I'll introduce each presentation as it goes on in the evening. That's kind of the rough idea. All of the speakers are on, so you know the presentations are a go. Any questions about that?
Can you
I
explain
think it-
Marjorie's again? What's her piece?
It was mentioned in one of the other, a couple months ago maybe, and Jay can explain better, but he had mentioned that there was a resiliency study done by Marjorie here.
Well, I thought about the resiliency study, but then they're also doing a Dover Ditch Living Shorelines right now. It's under construction. So I thought that maybe she could share that. It's hard to get her to commit to things. I know she's very busy. So what I could probably do is just incorporate that in my presentation. What I think I'll do is to kick off my thing is say, you know, the village has adopted this living shorelines ordinance, and it's kind of a mandatory thing when you're repairing your seawall, but we would also like to find ways to encourage people to do these things voluntarily and on their own. And for instance, we're doing this cool project, and then show them some pictures of the Dover Ditch project and say, hey, you know, we're putting our money where our mouth is. And then say, you know, the people that are gonna be talking after me, which would be Mang and Reef Arches and Jaylona, are going to show some other cool examples of living shorelines projects.
Yeah. And I think you hit on something. It's mandatory, and I think people who come to this meeting are going to be coming because, well, in my mind anyway, it's going to be primarily the people that live along the water, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe not, I could be wrong, but I'm thinking that would be the case, and I have a feeling they're gonna wanna know every little detail of that ordinance, since it is mandatory.
Sure.
That's the big change.
Yeah.
Right? And I would say probably a vast majority of them don't even know.
Right.
Yeah.
But are you suggesting that we explain it to them at the meeting in detail?
I can go over the high level.
The high level stuff.
I can do that in 2 or 3 minutes.
I mean, if they wanna, you know, get into the weeds with it, I mean, they can just go and read the
to the
ordinance. Or,
Make an appointment, we check.
yeah, or Jay can, yeah. Good.
I think your outline is fantastic. I'm assuming that we're not gonna be stuck on like 1 hour and the bell goes off because I could see it being up to an hour and a half, but I think an hour might be wishful thinking, but it's a good target.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, it's difficult, especially if, after every presentation, there's an opportunity for questions and answers. I mean,
That will go.
Jay's part could drag on for a while, you don't know, but with the Q&A. I'm going to try to police that and keep it moving.
Yeah.
It is 6 to 7:30, just to give us maybe a little extra leeway, because I think we had started talking 6 to 7. So that's the content.
Okay.
The advertisement, I think that was pretty simple. You found an address list of the waterfront homes. We're going to mail something hard copy to each one of those addresses and then publish it on the e-newsletter, the Tequesta e-newsletter.
In our social media.
And social media.
I think this thing that's on the big screen right now is fantastic.
We've got an even better one that Meg's trying to pull
Desperately
up.
trying to pull up. If you want to pass those down, just what it looks like.
So we're working on a few things. We found some other examples of living shorelines workshops, and we're just
Oh, yeah.
Good.
kind of using that as the basis.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Meg knows
Oh,
how to
yeah,
use
that's
AI.
great.
She does AI images very well, so.
Nice.
Get some good
Really?
stuff in there.
Yes.
This is AI, right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
that's
not,
great.
that's an AI picture.
Ah.
It's crazy.
Very
I
neat.
didn't realize you could do pictures.
So really, the only thing, and I don't think there was finality to it, is the title of the, is this what we've come up with? What-
That was just, she was just kicking around some
Okay.
ideas, so we're open to any suggestions.
Are there?
What was it that we came up with at the end of that?
I wasn't here, so I don't know, but it seemed like there was a lot of discussion about
We did.
ordinance being in the
Yes, that's
title,
right.
and,
Yes.
and I don't know if there was any finality, if anyone remembers.
There was no finality. I
No
just
finality?
Typed up a couple random things.
What were they, 'cause to refresh our memories,
The ones that I have,
that we did, that we tossed around?
I don't remember. The things that I had written down was living shorelines, a community commitment to sustainability. We had living shorelines. The green one has a different tagline, Brad.
Okay. So
I think it's
that
right
one
next
and
to
that
you.
one, okay.
Protect our
Correct.
shores, preserve our future.
That's it.
I like
Protect our shores, preserve our future, and then I had a third one that I've written down. But
Did any of those win out? So it seemed as if the word ordinance, no one wanted it in the title.
Yeah, I remember.
I started
remember
out
us-
supporting it. 'cause
I
was
know, I
like, 'cause
heard. I was
live
like,
on the
go,
water, and
go,
I'm like,
Michelle.
ordinance, I'll be there. And since it's mailing out to the waterside residents, I feel like that says, oh, this could impact me, I wanna go see what it's about. It's just my opinion. But I also like this one that you just said, for the future. Was it protect shorelines for the future?
protect our shores, preserve our future.
Well, I like that.
And then maybe under it, you could put something about the ordinance.
We're gonna actually have a letter to them, so when the mailers go out, it'll have like the flyer, the catchy flyer, and then there'll be a letter.
Okay.
And that letter will say things
There.
like, come learn about our ordinance, and,
That's-
J-Lona, reef arches, and we can, cause some people might wanna go and not be able to attend, we can put links into the actual ordinance and to direct them to the website, so.
That works.
Some people may wanna learn about it on their own, some may wanna come.
Mhm. No, that's a good, as long as it's in the content somewhere.
Yeah.
What about the media platforms, like Friday News, website at your page maybe?
Yeah, we're gonna get it in the newsletter for the 2 weeks building up to it, so it'll be we'll get in next Friday's newsletter, and then the one after that. and then we'll have at least one, maybe two on social media. Which will be the catchy thing, right? You always want to catch people's eye with a good image, so we'll put one of those on the Facebook page and catch some attention that way. So it'll be a pretty wide net. And honestly, I've done these type of things for 15 years. We may have 2 people come, we may have 25 people come, but at least we're trying.
Yeah.
And some people may just like the fact that we've put it out on social media, and that may be all they need to see. So don't feel bad if no one shows up.
Right.
Meg,
Oh,
go ahead.
No.
You read 3 potential titles, right? Can you read those again?
I can. Sorry. All right. Living Shorelines, a community commitment to sustainability. Living Shorelines, protecting, preserving, and playing on our waterways. And Living Shorelines, protect our shores, preserve our futures.
I like all 3.
I like 1 and 3.
I think I liked the first one.
I think I like the first one as well.
I like all 3.
Read it again. Short little memory journey.
It's up there on that flyer. Number 1.
Oh, it's on that
That
flyer?
one's 3.
Oh, that's 3.
I like 3.
All right, should we put it up to a vote then?
All right, but we have
Let's
to
move
see
this
them.
along.
Hold on, I think I've got.
1, 2, or 3?
I can't remember.
All right, let's put it
All right.
back. She's pulling them up.
Can
Okay.
Living Shorelines.
are you trying to pull it up?
Yes.
Me? Yes.
Okay, all right.
So,
Wait.
this is 1.
Kind of like that.
And of course, I can redo
That's
it
number
if
1,
you
right?
wanna- Yes, that was
Okay.
Living Shorelines, protect our shores, preserve our future.
That was 3 before.
That was 3.
Sorry.
If you want to make it 1.
Right now it's number
I
1.
wasn't anticipating any of this. We had a nice
That's
slideshow
okay.
for you.
Both are odd.
This one, the photo looks like I'm in South Carolina on the coast, and it's got a lot of words, so I picked numero uno over numero dos.
Yeah, that's more.
Yep.
Where's the third?
But what about the slogan? Because the,
Yeah. it's-
What was the
The
third?
I'm
title
saying
is
it
the
looked like
important
anything.
part.
Yeah, what was the third one?
None of us like it. Let's
Okay, oh,
let's
good, okay, so
narrow
we're
down.
down to 2, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha,
one of these.
okay.
All right, so number 1 is on the left.
Okay.
Just the wording, though.
Just the
Just
title
the
wording,
word, yeah.
and number 2 is on the right. I'm gonna put it up to a vote. All
Okay.
those in favor of
This one.
title number 1 on the left side of the screen, raise your hand. Okay, that's unanimous.
Yeah, good.
All right,
Oh, good.
so we go with title number 1.
I'm gonna write that down.
That's the right choice.
I liked them all.
I think so, I like it. I still want ordinance in there somewhere. That's okay.
It'll be in the letter. I'm
It'll be
with
in the
you.
letter. The problem is, I hope it gets that far, you know what I mean? And I said, a lot of times I'll just read the title and be like, eh.
Yeah.
But ordinance would, especially the folks that live on the water, be like, what?
Yeah.
I'll pass this back. Okay, so that's done, I think. Let me see. Yeah. All right, so we're done with that. Does anyone have any other comments about this meeting, the beginning of next month?
You've done great. Thank you very much for organizing
Oh,
that.
wow. Jay does his job as well. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you both.
Okay, next up is new, under old business, this one's important. We need to discuss what I need to put into a memo to present or to give to council, and I guess staff or the manager, with regard to the EAC Strategic Initiatives. I'd like to finalize this because I have to get it to those folks ASAP,
Okay.
so I need to write it. What I will do is take, well, first of all, I'll share with you what I think that we've discussed in the past and what I think we've kind of agreed on, and we can discuss that, or if you want to add anything to it, we can do that as well. What I'll do is summarize and put it into a memo, and then I'll probably send it to you for your proof, and then he'll send it out for everyone else's proof to give it the final okay, if that's all right. So, number one, and when I say this, it's not just for budget. I'm going to go into a little more detail, but supporting the Living Shoreline Initiative. And there will be bullets, I guess, that explain why and what we think are important from a strategic perspective. Secondly, streetscapes. Same deal. Third, green building initiatives. Fourth, continued and, I don't know if new support would be appropriate, but at least continued support of state and county efforts to conserve public lands. I don't know if that's really, I mean, I guess as a committee, we can keep our eye out for things, but, and let council know if we come across something, but, you know, just for kind of, yes, our stamp of approval, we need to keep the, those conservation areas conserved.
Can I interrupt for a
Please
second?
do.
So, do we, this is really a question for you, Jay. So, tell me if I'm wrong. If something is in the strategic plan, that tends to mean that the council in the legislative session will support things that will make that likely to happen? Or is the strategic plan completely separated from their legislative priorities?
The legislative, this is more of probably of a Jeremy question, but the legislative priorities is separate from the strategic planning. The strategic planning process is more budgetary and village project specific. So more for ongoing village initiatives. Legislative priorities are things that matter to the council that they want our lobbyists to kind of fight for in the current legislative session.
When is the anticipated time of the year where Brad will have to come to a workshop and explain to them the work that EAC has done in the prior year?
So I believe we did that last fall, where that's kind of the overview of what you've been working on. And this year, strategic planning is, I think, just kind of swamped. So the council and the village manager have asked, or the mayor and village manager have asked that Brad write a memo outlining strategic goals for the upcoming year rather than have to present it, because there's limited time.
Okay. I just needed to get that all in my head.
Yeah.
I got shoved to the back of the line.
Pardon?
I got shoved to the back of the line.
Oh.
No.
And my final one is urge council to push WM to provide Tequesta with single stream recycling containers or a single stream recycling solution. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's gonna be a long memo. Does anyone have any discussion with regard to the living shoreline and streetscapes?
Streetscapes, I feel like they're backing away from Old Dixie Highway. because they ran into, you know, roadblocks with the county. But, you know, I thought about it, and I know that there's a way to strong arm those guys. And I have done that before. And, you know, just because they say you gotta do this, you can go over their head, you can put the screws to them big time. So I don't think they need to surrender on Old Dixie because it's one of the ugliest thoroughfares in Tequesta. It needs to be repaved. They're fighting Tequesta on wanting raised medians for planter beds to beautify the whole thing. I think they should not give up that fight, and if they want my help, I'll do it volunteer for free. I mean,
Well, the good news on that is that we're working on the mobility plan, which just kicked off. And the mobility plan is being run by a very well-known engineering company, but the main project manager is a landscape architect. So he's going to incorporate a lot of placemaking, streetscaping, beautification stuff into that mobility plan. And I know Doug Chambers, our public works director, Jeremy Allen, myself, we're all gonna kind of push for that. One of the big things I've noticed, and Doug and I have noticed, we don't have enough color in the village. There's a lot of green, but there's not enough kind of that pop of color that you see in some places. So that's one thing that we want worked into it. And there's going to be 2 public meetings for the mobility plan. I'd love for all of you to attend those and kind of give any suggestions you have as well.
Do you have the dates set?
We don't have those set yet, but it'll be probably March, April, May sometime.
I just say this quick footnote. A recent meeting of my HOA, we had people saying to there was the adopt a tree thing in Tequesta, which I think is being changed right now. But they are saying we want the canopy. We want the canopy in Tequesta Pines. Now, Doug and Jeremy, they don't like the root impact and everything, but I'm telling you, that's what people want. They love that shade that lets them walk, run, play, whatever.
I agree.
So, yeah, I think that's great. I'm glad you put it on the list. I support it all the way. I was just wanting to reiterate
Yeah.
some aspects related to it.
So maybe incorporate what you're saying, incorporate the Old Dixie into the memo. So not just streetscapes, but
As an example.
as an example.
Boom. No. Okay. Green building, we just had a wonderful presentation. I don't know what really needs to be discussed. It was thoroughly presented. We had an opportunity to ask our questions. I mean, if you want my opinion, of course, I think the EAC should support this effort in exactly the way that was presented.
Agreed.
Agreed, we've been
I agree.
through a year of it, so, yeah, it's
Okay.
great that it's.
So
adopted.
I'll incorporate that. We talked that, and recycling, is anyone against?
Rick,
trying to-
explain to me the singles, what you call
So
it?
I hearkened back to the gentleman who came from WM and gave us a presentation, and I think it was Stewart, he had mentioned that they do a single stream recycling in Stewart, where you have one bucket, and you throw aluminum cans, paper, everything into it.
Glass,
They come and pick it up, it's sorted at some facility. And he said, correct me if I'm wrong on this number, if you remember, Jay, it was over 30% more recyclable material is collected when you have single stream versus that same municipality when they had the blue and the yellow bucket separate. So, you know, in my mind, it makes sense. It's just easier to toss all your recycling
Have
into
one big
one,
bucket.
you know?
Yeah.
And he said the reason why we don't have access to that here is because our facility is, the actual processing facility is not set up for single stream, it's dual stream. But I think I recall him saying it may have, how squeaky the wheel is
Right.
Yes.
to get that facility to.
Make a change, yeah.
Squeaky wheel, okay. Maybe Can our council be a squeaky wheel? I don't know, I think it's worthwhile. I mean, I was blown away by the 30% number. I knew it would increase, but not by that much.
Does it
And-
allow you to have like one of those new bigger bins that dumps automatically,
Yeah,
and the
that's
poor
what-
guy
that's
doesn't
what
have
they
to
should
pick up
be.
two?
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe, yeah.
maybe. I think I do remember him saying that it is an easier proposition for collection. The back end is having to separate it at the facility. Which I see now with our regular garbage. I mean, those guys are coming at least 3 hours earlier than they used to in my neighborhood on our garbage collection day.
I believe it was Martin County, I remember Sam saying, Martin County has the single stream, that's where we started, hey, why can't we have that? And the facility, the processing facility has the capability to do single stream processing. And I think at one point we even inquired as to is there a possibility that we could engage a process with Martin County's
Yeah.
waste management instead of just Palm Beach County? And we, of course, we don't know the answer to that, but that was something that we were talking about.
We don't quite remember how waste management is structured, but it's all under one umbrella. They might have a south district, and then we just happen to be on the border, and then they have a north district, and maybe that facility sits on the north district. I don't know, but it would seem to me that we're close enough to,
We want to continue to pursue.
it's worthwhile. So, unless someone is dead set against it, I think it is worthwhile putting into the memo. Does anyone have any additions to this?
I think you hit the nail on the head
That's what
relative
we're
to the
working on
things that
here.
we've been focusing on the last 12 to 15 or so months.
Okay. All right, good. All right, well, if there's no more discussion, I'll go on to our new business. This was a grant that Jay actually had emailed, and it really fits quite nicely our Living Shoreline initiative and project. Let me pull up.
Can I say bad news now?
Oh, brother.
Oh, no.
So I saw this grant, and I was like, we're perfect for it, it's great, but
It got yanked.
it looks like it's gonna get the axe from the Doge team. It's already on the hit list. And it's funny, I was looking at the grant, and they say that it says priority will be given to fiscally distressed communities as identified in the climate and economic justice screening tool, and there's a link to it. So I clicked on it, and it's already disabled. And so I Googled it, I'm like, and sure enough, there's all these news articles about how people are trying to find workarounds to that tool being disabled. But so New York Times has the hit list from Doge, and the Urban and Community Forestry Program is on it. It's 14 million of federal dollars that gets dispersed out to the states to then manage. And so there's a possibility that it will survive, but it's also possible that we spend a ton of time on the grant and it's not even there.
Is there a timeline as to when we'll kind of know? Probably not.
So the grant is due in a month from yesterday. So the grant application's due a month from yesterday, and then the award period is in June, and then the money's not dispersed until the fall. So it's possible that you could even win this award, and
Well, it's
in the fall that the money's not even there to disperse in the fall.
Do you know approximately how much money the state gets?
The state was only getting $200,000 for this one, which is also scares me. I think that we could put together an absolutely phenomenal application because Mang and Reef Arches would be partnered with us on it, but they're only giving out 4 awards, up to $50,000 for each award. So there's not even a ton of money for it.
But I'm thinking, if I was a legislator, I'd figure out a way to fund it with Florida dollars. And if they did that,
They should.
if they did that and we had our application in it and they ranked us in the top 4 or whatever you were talking about, well, then maybe we'd get the money.
That's 50.
Yeah.
50 grand is the max?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think there's some similarities to Florida Department of Environmental Protection grants that I've come across to this one.
Yeah.
So there might be a mechanism already in place and maybe even already funded that, you know, like we've been discussing, that we, as a community, can at least sign our name to, like in the case of Jupiter Narrows.
Mm-hmm.
It's just another, this is like another bucket of money that is a potential money for the project.
So I take it you would rather just not deal with it, but are you open to looking at these things that Brad said he thinks may exist?
So that's Brett and I had talked about this, that we still pursue this mangrove project that you guys have identified, but look at funding from alternative sources, which could be the council, it could be private funding sources, and I mean, we can still go for this grant. The one benefit to it is it's a no match grant, so we don't have to provide any financial match, which means it doesn't have to go in front of council for approval.
How labor intensive is the process on that one?
That's the problem. It's a little labor intensive, and we're a little tied up in the next month or two, but I mean, Meg and I might be able to pull it together by March 11th. If this federal uncertainty wasn't there, we could just plow through it, but it worries me that we're gonna, you know, not focus on things like the mobility plan, which is like the #1 priority for our village council for me to be working on right now. And then I don't want to give 80% to that for this, that could be a losing proposition.
Yeah,
So it's
understandable.
challenging.
You gotta do what, you know, priorities are.
So if you want us to, we can kind of give it the old college try and see what we can put together.
So we're certain that March time is not the intent to submit.
It's the
It's
submittal.
the submittal?
There you go.
Did they even have an intent to submit date? Because if we didn't do that, I think we'd be excluded, right? You have to submit an intent before you submit the actual.
Some grants do. This one, it's just you
No, okay.
submit it by
All right.
March
Jay,
11th.
do you remember Palm Beach County used to do a lot of mangrove planting
Mhm.
events, you know, with like the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, or volunteers would show up. And I remember reading about those things, and it would always say that the mangroves were supplied by X, which I can't remember. And it could have been, you know, FDEP for all I know. What if that's something would do? I just don't remember the detail. I can see them now, the kids putting in the mangroves in the soil, you know, and then the reporter standing there telling you all about it.
Where did Gelona get all those mangroves for the Gelona project?
I think they,
BLM also has it with Peter DeWitt and Mike Pascal.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that Meng supplied the mangroves for the Gelona project. Or it's BLM, we're talking about the same.
Mang, though, is a private.
No, but I mean, BLM and Gelona
Yes.
were kind of the same, right? But yeah, I believe that they supplied them. So, well, that's a bummer.
Well, there'll be something else for us to pursue. It's not in front of us today.
Yeah, so one of the, this might be a moot point, but one of the sentences that Jay had sent came from that grant application. It says plant trees in riparian or coastal waterway areas to decrease erosion, improve stormwater runoff capture, and enhance the water quality of Florida waterways. So it definitely qualified. So we'll see, I guess. Anyway, I don't think we have to speak about that anymore, unless someone else would like to, nothing.
Well, if staff keeps your eyes and ears open, we keep our eyes and ears open, maybe we come up with something that won't require federal dollars or something.
Okay. I think that's. I messed up here, hold on, sorry. Okay. All right. Nope, wrong one.
So I think you're now on comments of committee members.
Got it, okay. Comments on from committee on anything, future agenda items?
Looking forward to our workshop, or
Yeah.
whatever we're calling it.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me the date again so I can write it down.
March 4th.
Okay, thank you.
I'll send a calendar invite to everybody, so.
Okay, so I have a few comments. Michelle, you came up with a couple good ideas for future agenda items. Natural enhancement at the Cuesta Water Catchment Area,
Yes,
and the gentleman, Bud Howard,
yes.
concerns for construction runoff and debris.
Yes, did he get in contact with you?
He did not.
Okay, I think he might be waiting for you to contact him.
Okay, I don't have his
I'll
contact
give it to you
information.
right at the end of the meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And anything else on Arbor Day? I think I heard something from the last meeting.
No, we're still waiting to see if Remembrance Park will be ready, so I'll have an answer by March.
If it's not, I know we had discussed, going
Pivoting.
there.
Yeah.
Is that even possible?
That'll be fun.
Yeah,
Depends on
that-
how active the construction site is.
Yeah, that's what we have to wait on. Even if it's not completely done, there's still a fear of letting people onto a construction site, liability issues. So.
In which case, we probably have it somewhere on the public grounds here.
Somewhere else, another public property.
Okay.
In the village somewhere.
Okay. All right, unless we have anything else, I will ask for a motion.
Okay. I'll make a motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn. It's like, what's that word? I make a motion to adjourn.
I second the motion.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
I was about to say
None?
shoreline.
Motion passes.
Uh-huh.
I make a motion to shoreline.
That was it's a 1 hour meeting.
Make a motion to stop.
Pretty good.
First for me, right?
Good job, Brad,
Yeah.
keeping it moving.
Trying to, these 2-hour meetings.
Yeah, they're a little long.
Yeah, this is
Grandpa's gotta go to
great.
sleep now.
Oh, here we go.
Julie, thanks for coming to visit
Yeah, thanks,
us.
Julie.
Welcome again. What is the money for the, I didn't